Now, I'm still of the camp that believes that Meghan will never set foot in this country again. Now, if she doesn't come back to this country, it means that Archie and Lilibet won't come back.
There is a cruelty, and we're going to
Sure.
talk about Diana here. There is a cruelty in not making an effort to make sure the king sees his grandchildren.
So Prince Harry finally sat down for tea with King Charles, and it has everyone buzzing. Not just over the short 55-minute reunion, but over what was left unsaid, who chose not to attend, and who might be seething behind palace doors. While the royal press is eager to frame it as a step toward healing, it looks far more like a staged PR patch than a genuine family moment. Because, let's be honest, this was no warm father and son surprise. It was strategy, pure optics from start to finish. And Meghan, she was nowhere in sight, literally absent from the picture.
But when people try to tell you and me that Meghan is just like Diana, I know Diana was drama, but I don't think she would have kept her grandbabies away from their grandfather.
She was not in the car, not at Clarence's house, not even caught lurking in the background of a paparazzi shot, yet Meghan still managed to steal the narrative. Here is why. This meeting marked the very first time Harry had seen his father since the shocking news of the cancer diagnosis months ago. That alone made the encounter heavy with meaning. But let's not forget Harry's last visit, when word of it leaked before it even happened. This time, though, the palace kept everything sealed tight. And with good reason. Insiders believe King Charles was determined not to let his private health struggles be twisted into podcast material or media fodder once again.
I think it's primarily Meghan, but obviously Harry's guilty of it too.
Sure.
And we're going to talk about Harry and Meghan shoving Princess Diana 2.0 down our throats in a second.
And let's be real. After 6 years of glossy royal tell-alls dressed up as interviews and documentaries, nobody would have been shocked if Harry strolled in with a mic tucked under his collar. Still, he showed up, got his 55 minutes of FaceTime with the king, and then, just like that, it was over. No Camilla, no Prince William, no United Family Front, just tea and a ticking clock. The whole thing almost felt like Charles glanced at his schedule, spotted a free hour, and thought, fine, let's give the boy a slot. And you can't help but wonder if Charles used the moment to send a message that he is far from his deathbed, almost as if to say, look, son, I'm still standing strong.
So the Meghan factor is very, very important in all this. And of course, you could turn around and say, so you talked about cruelty, which you're absolutely correct. I totally agree with you.
Stop telling the press I've only got one foot in the grave. That may well have been the unspoken message Charles slipped into that short tea meeting. But the real chaos didn't unfold inside Clarence's house. It exploded online. While Harry was in London, Meghan's social media suddenly lit up with a new post. She shared a clip of Harry play fighting with a little girl, a playful sword fight covered in hearts, and instantly speculation took off. People were convinced Meghan was secretly there, filming it herself, hiding in the shadows, only to pop up like some dramatic plot twist. But here's the kicker, the video carried Hello Magazine's watermark, which means no, Meghan wasn't behind the camera at all.
But let's not forget there's another grandfather who hasn't seen his grandchildren either. You know, we're all talking about a reunion with the king and everything else. Don't see any signs of any reunion with the other granddad.
She wasn't even at the event. All Meghan did was repost a public media clip and claim emotional territory over it. That move was her way of saying loud and clear, don't forget he's mine. And honestly, it worked. The second that video went live, the floodgates opened. Gossip accounts and creators were swamped with messages. Is Meghan in London? Was she the one filming? Did she secretly meet Charles too? The answer is no, and absolutely not. Because let's be honest, if Meghan Markle had been in that car on the way to see King Charles, it would not have been a quiet tea meeting. She never would have allowed Harry to handle it privately. It would have been transformed into a full-blown docuseries episode, complete with mood lighting, dramatic angles, and her signature voiceover guiding the story.
Doesn't that lead you to believe, though, that there's an ulterior motive in any sort of reconciliation with the royal family, and that ulterior motive is financial?
I think financial is a big motive in all this thing.
So what makes all of this so frustrating? Meghan is playing a calculated game of optics, and she knows exactly how to stir confusion. Why else would she repost a clip that was already making the rounds in the press, unless she wanted people to believe she filmed it herself, that she was there in person, quietly involved? Because let's be honest, if Meghan had truly been in the UK, she would have appeared at one of Harry's events without hesitation. She has never been able to resist the spotlight. Just look back at the Invictus Games. What should have been Harry's stage quickly became the Meghan Markle showcase. So her complete invisibility during this entire trip says more than words ever could. And that silence leads to another crucial point. Harry still hasn't seen Prince William at all.
I said, this is a woman that just went on Bloomberg and complained about not having a voice while she was a working member of the royal family in pantyhose.
Zero interaction. That's the shocking part, especially given how much public fascination revolves around the fractured bond between the brothers. Every time Harry sets foot in the UK, people hope for a reunion, even just a fleeting glimpse of William and Harry together again. But once again, nothing. William didn't attend, didn't wave, didn't even send so much as a polite signal. That silence speaks louder than words about where things truly stand. Meanwhile, Harry is out there forcing smiles for the cameras, slipping into charity events, and dodging awkward questions. But the tension is written all over him in every photo op. He's caught between two worlds, American celebrity and British royal, and he's struggling to balance either one. He may try to act casual, but the cracks in the performance are becoming painfully obvious.
There's no way that this is a couple that are actively trying to pursue any sort of reconciliation.
It's as if Harry no longer knows who he is unless someone else scripts the scene for him. And truthfully, so much of this circles back to Meghan. She has reshaped his tone, his posture, and his entire public image. The way Harry communicates today feels far more Hollywood than Windsor, loud, dramatic, and dripping with emotion. It's as though he forgot how the royal family has always operated: minimal drama, maximum control. Meghan's approach is the opposite. Feelings on display, camera ready, tears whenever the moment calls for it. And Harry has fully embraced that style now. It's clear in his interviews, in the way he carries himself, even in his reactions to small talk. Just look at that painfully awkward moment when he spoke with a child who casually mentioned having a brother at the same school.
Now, she could have found her voice. I mean, this is a woman who's quite shown she has got a voice, and she uses it, in all ways. But she could have used her voice for good, just as the other royal women have done.
Harry's mood shifted instantly. He muttered that having a brother in the same school must drive the kid mad. But the child just shrugged and replied, "No, we're friends." The whole exchange felt like Harry unintentionally spilled his own unresolved issues with William onto an innocent bystander. It was strange, but it highlights the bigger truth. Harry is still carrying heavy baggage, still locked in a fight with ghosts of his past. And every time he steps out publicly, whether at a charity event or even a private tea with his father, there's always that lingering question: what's his real motive? Because let's be honest, Harry has built an entire career out of turning private family moments into public paychecks. Which is why even a 55-minute tea with King Charles feels less like bonding and more like the opening act of a PR rollout. Will it morph into another Netflix project, a tell-all book, or the next paid speaking tour?
Really bothers me because Catherine, everything she does is so pure and selfless and has a bigger cause or meaning. And everything Meghan has done over the last few years is commercial, commercial, commercial.
No one really knows what comes next, but everyone is waiting to see. And somewhere back in California, Meghan is waiting too, with a smile, a caption ready, and just enough plausible deniability to keep the guessing game alive. Harry's solo tea with King Charles was never just about reconciliation. It doubled as a quiet statement, a political chess move played out in the middle of a transatlantic family feud. And while Charles carried himself with measured royal restraint, Meghan's invisible hand still seemed to shape the narrative. That's what leaves people scratching their heads, because even when she isn't physically present, she somehow dominates the storyline. The truth is, this 55-minute meeting may have revealed more cracks in Harry's personal life than it healed with his father. And when it comes to the optics, the picture is crystal clear.
Ugh, trying to sell us jam come Christmas time. Girl, keep your loose fruit spread.
King Charles didn't bend his schedule to make time for Harry. He was already in London handling royal duties, and Harry managed to slip into a free slot. The meeting felt far more like a polite courtesy than a heartfelt calling. And the second it wrapped, Charles was back on his way to Scotland without delay. There were no lingering father and son moments, no quiet dinners, no family photo ops to signal unity, just in, out, finished. The whole thing carried more box-checked energy than genuine reunion. And that is exactly why many believe the true purpose wasn't about healing, it was about control. Charles needed to remind the public that while the monarchy has cracks, it is far from broken.
What we love about Diana is compassion, empathy, authenticity. Meghan tries to recreate it. Can you create it? And I think you just answered no. You can't fake that.
No, you can't fake it.
A quick formal sit down with the prodigal son, and then King Charles was straight back to business. Meanwhile, Meghan's response wasn't a fiery statement or an angry outburst. It was something far more deliberate, a carefully staged dose of Instagram confusion. That reposted clip of Harry play fighting wasn't just a sweet moment, it was a claim, a reminder, a quiet flex. Meghan understands better than anyone that public perception equals power. By resharing a video taken by the media, dressed up with hearts, she blurred the lines. Was she there? Was she filming? Was she secretly backing Harry from the sidelines? The truth is none of the above. But the moment people started asking those questions, Meghan had already won. It was never about truth. It was about distraction. And Meghan has perfected the art of staying relevant without even being in the room.
And if she's still being around, I don't think, particularly in her own family, those things would have gone wrong.
I don't think Harry would have married Meghan. I think that
I don't know.
I feel like that was
that.
an act of rebellion.
This is the trap Harry can't escape. Every single move he makes is instantly smothered in speculation. And no matter the headline, Meghan's name is pulled into the frame even when she's 5,000 miles away. While Harry appears desperate to claw back some sense of order, Meghan is operating on a completely different board. Her rules are all about mystique, influence, and subtle displays of power. Take that sword fight post. It wasn't really about Harry sharing a sweet moment with a child. It was Meghan's way of reminding the world that Harry remains firmly inside her narrative. And then there's the William factor. The silence between the brothers is deafening. No polite glance, no short joint appearance, no olive branch extended. Just a wall of cold distance that says everything words never could.
Meghan has been accused of deliberately modeling herself after Diana, and I don't know if you catch it too sometimes.
If she is trying to model herself on Diana, she's not doing a very good job, at it, in my view.
Not even a polite leak to hint at reconciliation. There was nothing. And let's be clear, this wasn't some unavoidable scheduling clash. William was nearby, but he had no interest in showing up, and that decision speaks volumes. If this meeting had truly been about healing, you would expect both heirs to stand together in the room. Instead, William chose to opt out completely. And let's be honest, if William doesn't trust Harry enough to share the same space, what does that reveal about the state of this so-called peace process? Meanwhile, Harry has morphed into the face of contradiction, preaching unity on one hand, while his actions and demands tell a very different story.
I think Harry and Meghan just need to get on with their own lives and stop whinging and carping about other people and everything else. As I said, I don't mind them making money. Best of luck to them, if that's what they want to do.
One moment, Harry is preaching about privacy and protecting his family, and the next, he is spilling deeply personal royal conversations to Oprah and Netflix. And now, back in the UK, walking into meetings and flashing smiles for the cameras, the disconnect is impossible to ignore. He looks like a man torn in two: royal blood mixed with Hollywood habits, British tradition clashing with American PR spin. And in trying to balance both worlds, he is managing to satisfy no one. The strain shows in every movement, every expression. That polished royal composure is gone, replaced by a media-trained intensity that feels jarring and out of place against the backdrop of the palace.
But if they really are interested in it, they really need to start saying sorry for an awful lot of things that they have done.
Harry now speaks in long, emotional monologues, even when a short, simple answer would be enough. He snaps defensively at harmless comments, and that exchange with the child talking about his brother wasn't just awkward, it was telling. It showed how deeply Harry's unresolved issues still bleed into every part of his public persona. Every interaction turns into another stage for old wounds, and the public is beginning to grow weary of it, which circles us right back to Meghan's strategy. She may not be physically present, but she is still dominating the narrative, and the surprising twist is that she's doing it through silence, a new and unexpected approach for her. Meghan has always thrived in front of the camera, but now she has mastered the art of letting absence create intrigue. Where is she? Why isn't she showing up at these events? Is she hiding in the background or carefully planning her next dramatic move? With just a little silence, she becomes the focus of attention without even lifting a finger. And that is exactly what keeps Harry trapped. Every attempt he makes to carve out independence is pulled straight back into the joint spotlight by Meghan's presence, or even just the perception of her presence. The royals know it, the press knows it, and more the public is starting to see it too. So when Harry sits down for a 55-minute meeting with his father, what should have been a quiet family moment morphs into a 3-act play. Charles, Harry, and Meghan, the ghost in the gallery. Royal watchers are no longer buying the fairy tale. The public may have once sympathized with Harry's dramatic break from the monarchy, but the story has been twisted so many times that it is impossible to tell what's genuine and what's just performance. And now, with this short visit to King Charles, the so-called healing feels less like reconciliation and more like a staged backdrop for appearances. Because beneath the polished quotes and carefully posed smiles, the dysfunction is still very much alive, and Meghan, whether she shows up or not, manages to remain at the center of the stage every single time. What's most striking now is how Harry himself has become more reactionary than ever, constantly on edge and responding like a man trapped in his own narrative. Harry is no longer moving with strategy. His every step is driven by raw emotion and impulse. Spontaneous speeches, half-hearted attempts at reconciliation, defensive interviews, each one feels like he's grasping at pieces of an identity that doesn't quite exist. He wants to be seen as the modern family man in America, yet still demands the reverence reserved for a prince in Britain. But it doesn't work that way. The truth is simple. The moment you walk away from the crown, you also walk away from the weight and respect it commands. And once respect slips away, reclaiming it is nearly impossible. Just look at the military. When Harry was snubbed by soldiers, receiving no salute and no recognition, it wasn't just uncomfortable, it was deeply symbolic. For a man who once wore the uniform with pride, served in active combat, and stood as a symbol of British valor, that silent snub from the military cut deep, because the armed forces are not just about protocol, they are about loyalty. And Harry broke that bond the moment he began exposing palace secrets to the world. It's not that the soldiers despise him, it's that they can no longer trust him. And in both royal and military circles, trust is the ultimate currency. Harry has spent the last of his. What makes this even clearer is the way King Charles approached their meeting. There was no red carpet, no grand procession, no photographers lined up to capture a glowing father and son reunion. Instead, it was stripped down, quiet, and calculated. It was nothing more than a closed-door clock-watching session that wrapped up in under an hour. For a man who once stood second in line to the throne, that's a brutal downgrade. The tone may have been cordial, but it certainly wasn't warm. It felt like permission granted, not affection shared. And the moment the clock ran out, Charles was gone, back to Scotland, back to his duties, leaving Harry behind. Meanwhile, Meghan's silence has been just as loud as any statement she could have made. Her decision to stay quiet during Harry's UK trip is no accident. It's calculated positioning. She knows that physically showing up would spark backlash, so instead she steers the narrative from afar. The Instagram reposts, the subtle nods, the choice to remain unseen while still keeping herself in the spotlight, it's all part of the same careful strategy. Stay relevant without being directly accountable. Meghan has cleverly let Harry take the hits in public while she stays untouched on the sidelines. The irony is striking. She often insists she doesn't care about public opinion, yet every move she makes is meticulously crafted to shape it. If she truly didn't care, she wouldn't have reposted that Hello magazine clip dressed up with hearts. She wouldn't post anything at all. But Meghan knows exactly what she's doing. That post was her silent way of declaring, "Don't forget who's pulling the strings behind the curtain." And people listened. They zoomed in, speculated, and argued until she became the headline without uttering a single word. Still, even with her tactics working in the short term, one thing is becoming clear: Meghan's hold on public sympathy is slipping fast. The more Meghan leans into the mystery act, the more people grow tired of the games. Her exaggerated vulnerability, her carefully curated narratives, her ever-changing public persona, it's becoming exhausting. And when you combine that with Harry's endless victimhood tour, the public's patience runs thin. People want substance now, not more spin, and neither Harry nor Meghan is delivering it. Harry's greatest problem at this point isn't Meghan, and it isn't even the royal family, it's his credibility. He has told too many versions of the same stories, offered too many conflicting truths, and eventually the audience stops listening. They stop believing. So if he does drop another Netflix special or churn out yet another tell-all book, will anyone genuinely care? Or will the reaction be nothing more than an eye roll and a weary, "Here we go again"? That's the real danger of overexposure. When every moment is turned into content, nothing feels authentic anymore. And Harry is teetering right on that edge. One more tearful revelation, one more dramatic monologue, one more podcast-style confession, and he risks becoming a parody of himself, the prince who cried wolf. Meanwhile, the monarchy carries on. William's deliberate silence, Charles's cool formality, and Camilla's absence all send the same message. The royal family is not waiting for Harry to return. They have adapted, and they are playing the long game. They understand that public opinion will inevitably swing back in their favor, especially as Harry and Meghan's star begins to dim. And the shift is already underway. The once explosive headlines are softening, the fury has faded, and people are no longer shocked. They are simply tired. And in the ruthless world of media, boredom is the kiss of death. If Harry and Meghan can't break free from this endless cycle of drama and denial, they'll be replaced by the next flashy scandal in no time. Fame is fleeting, and once public attention fades, it rarely comes back. So, while Harry clings to these short windows of royal access, hoping they might mend something, the truth is harsh. The door may technically remain open, but the heart behind it is no longer waiting. And Meghan, she has already moved on. Not from Harry, but from the illusion that she would ever be embraced by the very institution she tried so hard to tear down.